The first in our region, health officials shut down an elementary school after 3 people test positive for COVID-19. They're telling hundreds of students and staff to self-isolate.
It's just absolutely unacceptable. You cannot threaten to rape people.
This Windsor man facing a violent threat to his family after sharing his thoughts about an anti-lockdown march. Organizers say they aren't behind the threat. A look outside here. We've had the chill for the last little bit, but a warm-up could be on the way. Colette Kennedy with the full forecast tonight. I'm Chris Ensing. Thanks for joining us. We start with the first outbreak at a Windsor, Essex area school. Hundreds of students and teachers in isolation, and now a scramble to get students learning once again from home. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva joins us now from outside the school. Kat, what do we know so far about how this outbreak happened?
Well, Chris, we know that contact tracing is underway. The outbreak was declared at this school, FW Bagley. And an outbreak is declared whenever 2 or more individuals test positive for COVID-19 and whenever there's evidence that at least one of those cases was contracted at the school. Now, the health unit hasn't been able to pinpoint yet how exactly transmission occurred, and that's why they've determined that anybody who was at the school is considered high risk. Everybody's been sent home to self-isolate, making this the very first outbreak at a school in our region.
Here's what we know. 3 staff members have tested positive, which means 430 students and staff were attending the school in person. They are all now asked to self-isolate, and it's recommended they go get tested. This is the first closure in the region and one of 3 schools shut down in the province because of COVID-19.
I'd rather not be the first. However, we are, and we're going to learn from our experiences.
The superintendent with the board says students will be learning from home during quarantine, but they're still in the process of setting it all up.
We're making sure that we have enough devices available for our families. We're not quite sure of the amount of students that still require equipment. We did send out a lot of equipment earlier in the pandemic. We're just fine-tuning that process.
But the union says they have yet to be told what will happen.
There has been no communication to the union about what that is going to look like. These have been questions that we have asked proactively since the beginning of the school year. What the outbreak plan is, what does it look like, and we have no information.
As for students, some of them don't mind the time away.
Feels like kind of weird, and I feel kind of happy because it's like more better because of COVID.
You feel like it's the safe thing to do?
Yeah, I actually feel more happier about it because I don't really like school.
How did your parents react when they found out that?
They were fine with it. They were like actually kind of happy because they didn't want to send us to school at the beginning of it because they were like scared of COVID and stuff like that. So my parents were like happy, and they said they should have not opened it at all.
As for what parents or guardians should do,
the one question we continue to get is, if I'm the parent, am I, at risk? So the parent is not at risk. They're a contact of a contact. The child is asked to self-isolate, and that means staying home, not going out and about. The family members, the contacts of the contact, can go out and about, but not the actual contact.
Now, Kat, with this being the first case in our area, there seems to have been some concern around breakdown in communication. What have you heard there?
Yeah, that's something that the teachers union actually brought up. They said that a lot of teachers didn't find out about the outbreak until they actually saw it on social media. So a lot of frustration where that's concerned. As for parents and families, some of them didn't find out until this morning when they were dropping off their kids at school. However, that was anticipated by the board. So Sharon Pike, the superintendent, she was here. There were also a number of nurses here to answer any questions that families might have. And communication was available in both English and Arabic because a lot of families that attend the school, they do speak that language. And so that continues to be a priority for both the school board and for the health unit to make sure that the information is available in the language that those who need it can understand. And just lastly, as we mentioned, the school board is still trying to figure out how virtual learning is going to work for the students that have been sent home. So for now, learning has been paused, but hopefully everything will be up and running by the end of the week. Chris.
Thanks, Katerina. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva live tonight. Wearing masks could soon be mandatory for all students riding buses to schools in the Greater Essex County District School Board. That's after a motion passed last night at the Board of Trustees meeting. They're recommending that the company that runs the buses, that's Windsor Essex Student Transportation Services, enforce the policy on all buses moving forward. Trustees say the move will protect students and drivers where physical distancing is impossible. The bus company will consider the recommendation at their next regular board meeting. We're talking a lot about cases at school, so let's take a look at how many young people have tested positive for COVID-19 in Windsor Essex since this pandemic started. 7.2% of people who've tested positive are under the age of 19, according to the Windsor Essex County Health Unit. That's 229 people in our region since this started back in March. Now, today, a second case at Westgate Elementary was confirmed, and right now, 13 active cases at schools across the English Public School Board. There's 3 active cases at schools in the English Catholic Board. Overall, 13 people are in hospital with COVID-19 today, 4 in ICU. That's a number growing locally and across the province. 19 new cases announced at this morning's health briefing. 8 of those people tested positive after coming in close contact with a confirmed case, and 9 cases are still under investigation. There was tough talk from leaders across Windsor Essex today. They gathered for a virtual press conference, the first as the area watches those cases climb in our second wave. The major topic, enforcement of public health orders. Stacey Janzer is live with us tonight. Stacey, we've already heard health officials talk about zero tolerance. What exactly does that look like?
Well, Chris, for LaSalle and Windsor Police, that means fines starting at $750. It's been 8 months since the start of the pandemic. There have been hundreds of warnings from police, only a small number of fines. Mayor Dilkin says the majority of Windsorites are following the rules, but today he reiterated that the time for education is over and it's time to educate bank accounts.
I'm happy to share with you at least the initial reports from our chief of police. Speaking with her yesterday, she actually dedicated certain members in our POP unit to this enforcement activity solely over the weekend, and they went to a number of locations, but everyone was compliant, and the places they went to, everyone was in order. And so even though we received complaints, the complaints were not found to be valid, but police did attend and were prepared to issue tickets. So I can tell you they did not issue any tickets over the last few days related to violations under the legislation.
But it's not quite as clear for all of the county. Essex County Warden and Tecumseh Mayor Gary McNamara is looking for continuity across the region. The majority of the county police services are delivered by the OPP.
You can imagine if the city of Windsor or LaSalle and Amherstburg are issuing tickets, and if there are offenses, and it's not so much in the rest of the county. Well, I don't want them to say, well, let's go to Essex, for example, and we can do what, and then we're not going to get a ticket. We're going to get another warning. And so the basis here is to have far more clarity at the local level.
He plans to bring it up at County Council tonight so everyone is clear that all police and bylaw enforcement should be giving out tickets.
No, Stacey, as the mayor said, everyone should be well aware of what the rules are by now, but there's some who are claiming exemptions. That came up today.
Well, Chris, Leamington Mayor Hilda McDonald says some people are claiming religious exemptions when it comes to putting on a mask. And she says it's causing big issues for some businesses, including lawsuits, and she's looking for that exemption to be removed.
It's been quite problematic. I certainly wish the province would step up and allow that not to be an adequate reason. We've been threatened with a lawsuit, as have some of our businesses because of it. And it is causing a problem for businesses as well as for enforcement. I had sent an email to Dr. Med to tell him that is peculiar to our region, perhaps, since I've not heard anyone else mention it. So again, enforcement is great, but when there is that loophole, we sometimes get caught up in the tangles of that.
Gary McNamara says it's not only Leamington dealing with lawsuits, but that Tecumseh may be dealing with a class action lawsuit. He echoed that enforcement needs to be uniform across the region. Chris?
Thanks, Stacey. The CBC's Stacey Janzer live tonight. Now, a big focus of the meeting as well was the continued protests of COVID-19 related restrictions in Windsor, Essex. Dr. Ahmed, clearly frustrated, had a message for people who attend those rallies.
These type of protests, it's not going to go get you anything that you are trying to get. So the key message is still, even let's say if you disagree, if you think that this virus is a hoax, it doesn't exist, and all this is a big scam, and all of these people, the entire world is buying into something which is a big lie, or which you can think about that. But what is the ask here? The ask is very simple. You can do whatever you want in the comfort of your home. When you are stepping into any public space, you have to follow the rules.
A Windsor man is facing threats of violence against his family after posting his thoughts on an anti-lockdown march. He's taken the matter to police, but organizers say the threat did not come from them or anyone involved with the march. Jacob Barker has more.
This is where Stephen Hargreaves was standing when he saw a group of people marching down Olette Avenue.
I disagree with them, but I totally agree with their right to protest.
Some protesters were carrying Romanian flags with circles cut in them, a symbol of the Romanian Revolution, where people overthrew a communist regime. This bothered Hargreaves, as his wife is from a Romanian family and he has friends who are refugees. He posted a picture he took along with his critique.
Appropriating that symbol for an anti-mask protest, I thought was in poor taste, if nothing else. And I just wanted to draw attention to the fact that I don't think is something that you should equate with their cause.
Initially, Hargreaves made the post private, but after someone requested to share it, he made it public. That's when he got this private message. I noticed you posted an article about our parade, adding a threat of violence to Hargreaves' family if there is any further slander of our movement.
It's just absolutely unacceptable. You cannot threaten to rape people. It's that simple.
Hargreaves decided to post that message online. Someone who commented on it received a different disturbing message, this time by email. It was sent by someone identifying themselves as the anti-mask guy, and it contained disturbing references to violence against women.
But I really hope that this is not systemic of that group, and I hope that this is a one-off person that they would not want representing their group.
One of the organizers of the marches says that message is not representative of the group. In an online message, he told me nobody from our march would say or send that type of message. Another organizer tells us we want nothing to do with extremism nor with threats. And she pins the threats on far-left extremists trying to discredit them. Hargreaves says he believes the threat was an empty one and hopes it was just a one-off occurrence. He and his wife are taking some extra precautions when in public, but he says they're not going to change their lifestyle because of a threat from an account with no posts and no followers. Hargreaves says he has filed a complaint with police, but they wouldn't confirm to us if they're investigating the threat. Jacob Barker, CBC News, Windsor.
You can read the full story on our website. Just go to cbc.ca/Windsor. More than 30 people have died from COVID-19 in the province in the last 24 hours. Half of the people who've died are residents of long-term care homes. Once again, today, the Premier sounding the alarm, saying lockdowns are on the horizon if the number of new infections continue to increase. Lorenda Redikoff has the details.
The situation is extremely, extremely serious.
The Premier obviously frustrated today with concerning numbers from Peel, Toronto and York, urging people not to socialize outside their household.
I've been saying that over and over again. Do not have birthday parties, do not have sleepovers with having kids' friends over. It's dangerous, and it has to stop. As I said, we're looking at lockdown.
The government announced more testing for long-term care homes starting next week. Every week in some regions, every 2 weeks for less restrictive green and yellow zones.
100% testing for every staff member, every single visitor that goes in there. No excuses anymore. It's not coming in through the ceilings, not coming in through the walls. It's coming in through the people visiting and the health workers.
Today, the province reported 32 more people died. 17 of them lived in long-term care homes. Over the entire pandemic, most of the people who've died were seniors.
I really do wonder if our attitude has really been ageist. and that really, if this were 32 children who died today, if we were taking a very different approach to what's actually been going on.
Talk of a lockdown comes just 2 days after the chief medical officer suggested the entire province could be in the green zone by Christmas.
Right now, when we're giving such mixed messaging, we might only end up with the choice of having a lockdown in the end because we've been dithering so much and not doing the essential things we need to do.
He blames the government for not having adequate testing, contact tracing, and isolating people. Whatever measures could be added, it appears schools will not be included. A day after the education minister said they were looking at a possible extended winter break.
It's really hard to keep track of where this government is going and their plans. It's confusing, and it's causing a lot of anxiety out there for families.
One father feels maybe schools should have a longer break after the holidays, given the rate of community spread.
Families are going to gather, circles are going to expand, and as a result, the exposure is going to go up.
As for when we could hear about a potential lockdown,
We have to do something, and just stay tuned on Friday.
Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Some good news today. The final results of the Pfizer drug trial were released, and they show that the company's vaccine has an even higher success rate than first believed.
This is looking like one of the vaccines that is going to come to the market very soon.
Pfizer now says that its vaccine is 95% effective against COVID-19. That's up from 90% reported last week. Pfizer and its partner BioNTech say their phase 3 study also proves the vaccine is safe and effective in all age groups. They're expecting to make up to 50 million doses this year, more than 1 billion doses next year. Canada has already purchased 20 million of those doses. The vaccine could be approved for use here as early as January. Today's release of the final trial results means Pfizer can now apply for emergency use authorization in the United States, in Canada, and other countries around the world. Police have released new images of the vehicle involved in a fatal hit and run of a 7-year-old boy. This is the vehicle here, seen driving northbound, and the St. Louis Avenue and Tecumseh Road East. Sorry, the Jos St. Louis Avenue and Tecumseh Road East. Police say there were images taken last Sunday, just before 9 p.m. They want you to pay attention to details like the black decal on the passenger side, painted running boards, a front black tinted bug deflector, and a black roof rack. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them. A vigil will be held Friday evening to honor the 7-year-old victim. And OPP have arrested a man they allege assaulted a young girl in Bell River last week. The arrest comes just a few days after they released a composite sketch of the suspect. Police allege that the man approached a young girl who was riding her bike around 6 p.m. on Broadway Street last Thursday. They allege the suspect tried to kiss the girl several times against her will. No details yet from police on any charges. Look outside there was no snow on the ground when I woke up this morning, but that heat wave, or the warm-up that we were promised from Colette, seems to be coming our way. She'll join us with more details next. Joining us now for a live look at the weather is Colette Kennedy. Colette, there was no opportunity for me to make a snowman today, and that's all right by me.
Okay, I'm glad you're okay with that. You know what? I'm going to make you, I'm going to make this promise that you will have an opportunity to make a snowman at some point later on in this season, okay? So we'll just wait for that. And in fact, it's not going to be in the next few days because we're going to see our temperatures going in the opposite direction. We're not going to be cooling down. We are going to be warming up. Chicago today into double digits, just over 10 degrees there. And so that warmer air just to the west of us, that's going to be pushing towards us. Current temperatures, 3 degrees at the moment, and I'll tell you something about these temperatures is they're going to be nearly steady through the overnight hours. So they could drop a degree or so, but pretty much where we're at the moment, as we see the winds kind of coming in from the south to southwest and picking up. Now, something to caution you about is that they will be becoming strong. So we've got another day, not as windy as they were last Sunday, but still a day where we're going to be seeing some strong winds coming in off the lake here. So some of the wind gusts, especially as we get later into the day tomorrow, could be exceeding certainly 70 kilometers an hour. And you see this model wants to really take them a bit further than that. So they will begin to ease off, and that would be by Friday morning. We should be seeing them back to a more reasonable level, but they're still going to be coming in from the south, southwest, and they're still going to be keeping those numbers up in terms of our temperatures and the heat up into Friday as well. I'm going to show you what those numbers look like here in just a moment. No snowmen going to be made, at least not unless they're the artificial kind. So we have a kind of clearing trend through the overnight hours tonight. As setup is quite nice, and with the mild air that's going to come in, we're going to see quite a bit of sun to go with it. That's more so for what we're going to be having on Thursday. Now, at times it'll be a little bit more variable, especially though as we go towards Friday. We're going to see a good portion of the day where it becomes mostly cloudy. But as I say, variable, so it won't be the entire day. We'll get some periods in there where we'll get some sunny breaks coming through. Southwesterly winds then tonight. So this is the temperatures. I was just showing you where they're at currently, and you see what I mean. They may drop a tiny bit, but it won't be much because generally they're just going to be nearly steady in terms of what we're seeing. And how about this? This is where we're headed almost 3 times in terms of today's heat, what we're going to be looking at for the daytime highs tomorrow. But again, just a little bit blustery at times. And this is what I want to show you for Friday. It looks like we're going to have enough time in the warm sector of this system that we could see 17 degrees. So we could see some upper teens as we're going from Thursday into Friday. But again, I was showing you on the models there, a little more cloud cover is going to be coming in here as well. Now, once this moves past us, we get some cooler air moving in. Essentially, it just kind of knocks us back towards seasonal as we go into Saturday. So Saturday is one of these, I often call them transition days. You probably heard me say that, between the warmer air of a system and the cooler air. So we get into a transition day, quite a bit of cloud cover here. And then as the system is departing, kind of staying towards the south of us, we're going to find that Sunday the rain showers are developing. At least that's how it's looking at this point, that the second half of the weekend is going to be wet conditions. We'll see 6 degrees and then dropping off Sunday night. I did not put any wet flurries in here Sunday night into Monday. They wouldn't be much if we saw them. But with the temperature falling off, there is a chance that we could get into a little bit of a mix there, Chris. And I do think that by the time we get into Monday night, when the temperature really falls off, the moisture will have exited by then. So it's not, I promised you, but the chance isn't coming in this 5-day period, okay?
No, just the winds we got to watch. Thanks, Ms. Colette.
You're welcome.
Boeing has received approval to relaunch their 737 MAX jet after 2 deadly crashes. Coming up, more on the all clear given today by American authorities and why Canada isn't following suit just yet. Boeing's 737 MAX passenger plane has been cleared to fly again by American authorities. Today, the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration recertified the aircraft after a 20-month grounding. The government agency says Boeing has fixed its computer problems. The planes were grounded after 2 crashes killed 346 people, including 18 Canadians. Both disasters were blamed on software that pushed the aircraft's nose downward in flight. Canada is not lifting the plane's flight restrictions, at least not yet. In a statement, Transport Canada said there will be differences between what the FAA has approved today and what Canada will require for its operators, like additional procedures on the flight deck and pre-flight, as well as differences in training. Experts say that means it could be months before Air Canada and WestJet put their 737 MAX planes back in the air. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for more news, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media too. You can check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thanks for watching. Make sure you have yourselves a wonderful night.